it feels like you look like you're having a little bit of fun now. Is that true?
I mean, just look at my face, man. Of course. Of course, yes. I've been having a lot more fun playing the game, of course.
I think the last time we talked was actually Capcom Cup. So since then, you've done obviously ELeague. What else? Is there anything else that you competed in that
Uh,
time?
only final round.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
I haven't.
we got to see your lovely face in the background during the pop off. That's right.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
uh, Another reason I asked that is because I've been saying, and I don't think it's just you, but I think you're probably one of the best examples of when someone is happy. When someone like yourself is happy,
Okay.
I think it's dangerous for everyone else. And I want to know from you how you feel like being happy with. I mean, not everything's perfect. I get that, but being happy with the game and competing, how that translates to how you're playing.
Of course, if you hate the game, you're definitely going to just complain and be like, "Ah, this sucks. Oh my God, my character sucks, and everything sucks, and everything is broken." There's one thing that you people have to understand is when you're a pro player, you just want to win all the time, and it's understandable if people complain or like get upset. So that's one of the things that I wanted to take out of my life because first of all is negativity. I don't like negativity. It's very, as you can see, I'm always trying to smile all the time because I want to be happy. And if I'm happy and I play happy, then I believe that I can make better decisions. And people like seeing positivity. They don't like seeing negativity unless it's like whatever.
Unless it's
I
some
don't
good
want to talk.
drama, right?
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. So, yeah, I feel that if you're happy, especially, I mean, my character is buffed. Of course, I'm happy, but it's one of those things that even if he wasn't buffed, in season one, you saw me play, and at the end of the year, I was happy. It doesn't matter if my character was sucked or if it was good, etc. I just tried my best, and positivity.
It's interesting you say that because I played a character that I never was really attached to Ryu, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I was and I think this is why you being happy and how it stands out to me is because I don't know that I was ever really happy playing Street Fighter V myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't think I realized that, or at least the extent of that, until Colleen came out and I started playing Colleen.
Okay.
And I'm just like, wow, I finally found like the character, the one, right? You have Balrog.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people have their characters throughout various fighting games. So, having said all that, what's your expectations now, given this outlook? We talked about this outlook too back at Capcom Cup, but like, what's your expectation for this year now, given this sort of new outlook on competitive life?
Well, of course, I want to win. That will always be on my priority. But
Sure.
my outlook is still, I want to know that Street Fighter is in a good position. I want to promote the game. I want to promote, the communities, all that stuff. Um, yes, like we said, the game is not perfect.
Hmm.
Everybody knows that the netcode is just not very good, and there's a lot of stuff that could be tweaked and improved. And I believe that Capcom will do that, in the future, or they're improving it right now. So um, it's one of those things that all I want to do is compete, be
Hmm.
happy while I compete, and be happy while I improve our community, so that people understand us and see us as a whole and not as a drama queen GC community.
So speaking of Street Fighter V being in a
Okay.
better place, you got to play in ELeague, and I'm happy to say that I correctly predicted that I said finalists in the thing that I wrote, but that was before we kind of understood the format. But you were one of the
Hmm.
top two players in your group. I did not predict Snake Eyes, unfortunately. That was kind of a surprise. But you went 6-1. Before we get into like a lot of some of the details about the event, I actually just want to get your perspective of what the overall experience was like for you, and how you feel if it makes or doesn't make Street Fighter V in a better place.
Well, we got to see it this way, right? We're so used to open brackets.
Hmm.
We're used to like, the usual tournaments. You go to a tournament, you play in the pools, and then you go to a bigger bracket, blah, blah. Do I think this is better for our community? Of course. I've always been one of the people that have said that we need more invitationals.
Okay.
I'm not saying that invitationals should replace the usual tournaments. Of course not. I think that makes absolutely no sense. But I feel that, there's a lot of top players, not even top players, there's a lot of players per se that they're very, very good, but they do not shine on that tournament scene, as in like
Mm.
open bracket stuff, because either they get nervous, blah, blah, or they're just not good in those situations. So I think ELeague is one of the, yeah, and I'm not just gonna say ELeague because there's more. Like SXSW is good,
Yep.
Topanga is ridiculous, in ELeague. All of these things, um, I think they're extremely good for the community, for exposure and everything. And I'm not gonna lie, I was invited to ELeague, and if there's one thing that I had to like, ask once or anything, it was nothing. I couldn't ask for anything because they just gave everything to me. It
Mm.
was like, oh, we had shuttles, we had drivers, we had food, like we had everything. It was just like the perfect experience. It was like mind-boggling because I would have never thought of like, okay, I have to call the Uber, blah blah. I have to go to the venue, the usual stuff, and it's pretty awesome to know that we were very well taken care of. It's crazy.
Right. You've been doing this a while, okay?
Mm,
A bunch of you have. I think even Justin talked about it. Justin's been doing
mm,
this thing forever, okay? You've been on some grand stages, fought some amazing matches like in the biggest tournaments in the world ever.
mm.
But I noticed some players, and I think Justin's even tweeted this too, talk about how it was it was kind of different playing at ELeague, and they were a little bit nervous when they when the first day or when they first started their first couple matches or whatever.
Mm.
Were you nervous at all?
I was not. To be honest, I think,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, if you saw me, I was pretty confident. And when I went out there, they just told me, "Yo, it's going to be very, very cold, so just bring a jacket." I just put on my jacket. I was like, "Whatever." I don't really care. So, yeah, I was not nervous at all. I think that's one of the things that I have over most players. I don't really get nervous. And if
Oh,
I can tell you one time that I got nervous was in Capcom Cup 2014. That was a very, very nerve-wracking, stage. But, I feel that if you
we weren't
played
even
at Evo,
esports then.
yeah, we were not esports. We were esports. We were trying to get there, but yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like with experience, you just learn to just take it off. Of course, there's going to be nerve-wracking moments, but I was not very scared.
Yeah. Did it kind of feel different to you in any way? Like this is a big deal. This is, you're not on TV yet, but
Hmm.
you will be.
Hmm.
And did any of that sort of like sink in like, oh man, this is kind of a bigger deal than maybe anything I've done so far? Or is it just another day in the office for PR Balrog?
I'm sorry, but yeah, this is kind of like another day in the
All
office.
right, it's another day in the office for PR Balrog.
Yeah, it's to be honest, I think yeah, TV is amazing. The fact that
You
I'm
don't think
going
you'll
to be
get
on
nervous
TV
being
is
on
amazing.
TV?
No,
All right.
like I told you, I think I have a very,
Okay.
very good sense of,
Okay.
my nerves are fine.
All right. All right. If we see you break a sweat in your first match,
That you
I'm gonna
told me.
I'm gonna tweet something out. Like if I see that bead of sweat coming down your
Yeah.
forehead, I'm gonna tweet something out. uh, um, so with ELeague's production, obviously there was great things. There was some not so great things. There was a little bit of controversy. I think the first thing I want to get your feedback on or your take on was they asked for feedback, and the general, like my perception, I watched all 4 days, was everything improved gradually. Right? They tweaked things that some people didn't like. Was there any feedback that you had for them, and was there anything that you didn't particularly care for about the event, um, that you think maybe they could have done differently?
It's hard to say. It seemed like everything was perfect in my opinion. I guess the only thing that I could tell them is maybe like have a little bit of more practice space, I guess. We kind of
Okay.
had that already. So it's
But
very
production
hard for
wise, not
me
really anything.
for watching. To be honest, I don't really watch the tournaments. I don't really watch anything.
Sure.
Tend to just stay away. By my mind is always like, okay, I have to compete. That's going to be my work over there. But I don't watch. It's very rare that I watch.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I can't give like any
That's
feedback when
okay.
it comes to like, that type of stuff.
Is I don't know if how much you can divulge. We're gonna dig into the behind the scenes a little bit.
Hmm.
My take is with certain storylines, let's say things were played up. And maybe we'll get to that in a second. But I'm curious to ask you if they either asked you or maybe you saw some other players that they were like, hey, you think maybe we could spice these things up for the production a little bit? Like Jaywong's over here giving an interview talking crap, and I'm like, man, I've never really seen him do that before. Like, they they go to you guys and say, hey, you think maybe you could spice this up a little bit?
I mean, I guess they like it was mostly not the commentator, the interviewer. He was like asking some of those questions, like then they asked me about Smug. I'm like, what? Like, what does this have to be even about? Like, what the hell? Like, it doesn't really matter to me. But they didn't really do anything. The Jaywong stuff, we were actually talking in a group, all of us, and
Uh-huh.
we were kind of like telling him like, "Yo, you don't talk at all," so, so he just, "Oh, you want me to talk?" So he did it. It was
Okay.
pretty funny. We were all like surrounding him to see
Hmm.
what he said, because we wanted to like talk back, but of course we couldn't do that. But to be honest, I think aside from the pool, not the pools, the groups being set the way that they were, as you could see, there were some very questionable, groups
Right.
like the K-Brad and Wolfcrone stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they in the same group? To me, that was really like, are you serious? Like, why? Why are you promoting this, right? So I don't know.
Obviously that was the controversy.
Of course,
The biggest controversy, I guess, from the whole 4 days. Do you not feel like that was necessary?
I don't think so. I feel that if that type of storyline is gonna build up, I feel like they should have put them in different groups and to see if
Hmm.
they're both good enough to just meet each other in the tournament after. That I feel that way is a lot better than just having them put on a group and forcing it. I dislike that. I think that was a really bad move for them, and it didn't end very well, as I would say. I mean,
I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it.
yeah, it's
I
really funny, but
I think the one of the arguments to come out of that was the idea of sort of the FGC versus esports, right? Like I've been telling, like I tell people, look, Street Fighter Five fighting games, we're esports, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, right?
mhm.
There's when it comes to opens versus invitationals, there's plenty of room for both things like that. I think the feeling that I got from ELeague was they wanted to do as much as they could to sort of make it feel like FGC. And I think for the most part, they kind of accomplished that, right?
Definitely.
Just from someone watching it, I'm like, okay, this feels like a pretty legit FGC event. Yes, it's esports, but yeah. But I feel like the Wolfcrone K-Brad thing in particular was, I think maybe they played their hand a little too much. Like they went a little too hard on that.
Yeah, but
Um,
like you got to see it this way, right? Yes, they had their moment, but why did it have to get to that, right? Like
right.
if we see Punk did his stuff, he talked trash still, but
Hmm.
he kept it. Let's say that he kept it esports,
Right.
right? Marn did the same thing. He was really funny. He talked
Hmm.
trash, it's usual Marn, and
Yeah.
it was all fun and stuff. And Smug did the same thing, and Knuckle Dude did the same thing. You know, I've always said there's a way of talking trash
Hmm.
and not insulting. And what I'm sorry to say this, but what Wolfgrown and Kbra did it was very disrespectful to each other,
Right.
and I think to the production itself, it's very unprofessional in my opinion. So.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. So PR Balrog shouldn't need a security guard the next time he plays on set, right?
They might have to stop Balrog now, me though. But yeah.
Yeah, at this point, we might need security guards for all you Balrog players. It's getting kind of ridiculous. Speaking of Balrog, you Problem X, very good player. Like the guy a lot. Very nice guy. Won Sonic Boom 2017 with Birdie, and then I believe it was Mena. Was that a CPT event that Mena already won? I'm not sure.
It was a ranking event.
Okay, so two birdies, two birdies, won events. But all we've been talking about is about how Balrog and Urian and Laura are the best. So I guess my question to you then is, I don't know, what's your? I mean, you're not going to sit here and talk to me about how you want your character nerf. I don't think you're going to do that. But is Balrog still like one of the best characters in the game? Like, where's Balrog at in all of this?
There's actually no question about that. Balrog is top tier in the game. I do feel that he needs a little bit of a damage nerf. I don't really understand what the hell Capcom is doing with the balancing.
Do you hear that right now? Right now, there's an entire Street Fighter V community that is collectively sighing. They're like, yes.
I mean, it's one of those things. I'm pretty sure Capcom, if they see me, is like, "What are you doing? Like, your character is good. Why are you asking?" It's one of those things that I want people to be happy to. I understand that Balrog is a very frustrating character to play against. Yes, he comes back very easily.
But he's not the only one.
He's not the only one. That's one of the things that people have to understand. Yes, Balrog is like that, but Urian can do the same thing. Laura can do the same thing. Birdie can do the same thing, and I can keep going on. Even Alex can do the same thing. It's one of those things that people are, since they see Balrog so much, it's like, oh my god, Balrog, blah, it's all crazy, But I still don't understand why Capcom, the way that they balance things are. I don't understand what they're doing. Like, why would you give Zangief, already really, really pretty good character right now?
Right.
More
buffed
moves
up for season 2, right?
Exactly. So what happened to Nash? What happened to Ryu? What happened to, all those characters that need more than just one tweak? What happened to them,
Right.
That's what I want to know.
Behind.
Yeah. I don't know what.
No, you bring up a good point, because and one of the things I was going to ask you was and I don't know if you've played the PC beta that's currently going. I can't remember actually. Today, I feel like today or tomorrow is like the last day. They have the preview of the upcoming balance change, and for the most part, Balrog is pretty much the same. I think they mess with his hurt box a little bit, which if I remember right was disadvantageous to him, depending on. But he also got a 25 health reduction, right? Do you feel, and their reasoning for that was like, well, we pretty much like where the character's at. Yes, he does a lot of damage, but it seems like players have an issue with closing him out because of his higher health, and despite the amount of damage he does, do you think just nerfing his health a little bit is enough, or do you actually feel like he should? Yeah, his damage should be reduced. Him and probably other characters too. Their damage should just be reduced across the board.
The problem with that is, if we reduce damage for Balrog, they're probably going to have to reduce damage for almost everybody in the cast. Why? Because if I remember right, Street Fighter V is supposed to be a high damage game, right? So I believe that if you nerf his damage, then you're taking away what Street Fighter V is about. Even though I even said that he needs a damage nerf, but
yeah,
that will be still taking off from what Capcom wants Street Fighter V to be. Does his health nerf affect him? Of course. Yes, 25 does not seem like much, but I can tell you that I came back for so many times.
Right.
Just
I mean, that's like the
you know,
difference of maybe like one hit, right? One hit
yeah,
that could be one combo, whatever, right? That's it's just
yes,
the difference of one hit.
exactly. So it's the same with Akuma. Akuma, yes, we can kill him in two combos, but now he hits like a truck. I don't know
Right.
what people are seeing. He hits like a truck, and that extra, what is it, 25 health also?
Yeah.
That
Hmm.
extra 25 health will be very, very, very good for him. I don't care what people say, but I'm pretty sure that it will. So yeah. Um, Another thing, I feel like a lot of people are downplaying Dawson or Dawson,
Oh, really?
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually think that Dawson is a really, really good character. And a lot of Dawson players are either, you know, downplaying him or saying that he sucks, etc., which he
So
doesn't. So
this is like Ken syndrome from season one, right?
I guess so. I mean, there's top players that don't even say anything. Like Filipino champ, he doesn't say
Yeah.
anything about his character,
Yeah.
but he knows that the character is strong, or he knows that the character might, sucks. But he is the one that knows most of the stuff. And when I talk to him all the time, he acknowledges that his character is just very, very strong. He's very good.
Right. You brought up something interesting in that we think one of the, I guess, the core concepts of Street Fighter V is being a high damage game, right? Like defense is, to me, is not sort of a primary concern of theirs, or if it is, it's like your defense is your offense, right? Your best defense is your offense because
Hmm.
everything does so much damage. There's so many characters that have comeback abilities just by the fact that they do so much damage.
Hmm.
With the season two the way it is, and how you kind of perceive the game is in your mind, what about characters that like Ryu? You talked about like nerfing damage for one character and having to do it for multiple characters. I mean, I think that's exactly what happened to a character like Ryu. And then we look at a character like Chun, like, Ricky's a world class player, but she went 0-14 in her last two events. And I know Chun is different, but with characters like that, I mean, is it just that the characters are that bad? Or, how much are we downplaying? Like you just said, Dawson players tend to downplay. Um, what is it with these characters and kind of what you see in your mind is like where this game is going or where it should be?
Well, in terms of Ricky, I just feel that Ricky hasn't adjusted to Chun-Li.
Hmm.
Um, I still believe, and I'm pretty sure she still believes that Chun-Li is a great character still.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that Capcom did, sadly. They really completely changed the way that Chun-Li played in season one, you
Hmm.
know, and they said that, okay, we're going to do these changes to not change the gameplay of people, they should be able to play the same way that they played before, and that definitely didn't happen. Almost
Right.
every Chun-Li player, either they were struggling or, there's just no results. But then MOV comes here
Hmm.
and he does very well. Um, Even in final round, I actually played a guy. I don't remember his name, but he actually did very well against me in pools. And to me, that's not a bad character if you can actually hang with the top tiers. I mean, I come
Right.
from Street Fighter 4, right? And Balrog was
Yep.
basically kind of like low tier, and he could deal with the top tiers. If you have a character
Well,
like that,
you could deal with the top tier.
well, maybe, yeah, yeah. But if I
I
could
mean,
do it, if I could do it, that means that a lot of people could do it too.
I mean, I couldn't deal with it. I mean, I'm just saying. I played boxer in four. I
Okay,
couldn't
let's
deal
say
with it.
it's still possible. It's still possible, right?
Right.
And I believe that Ricky is a great player, of course, like you said, a
Yeah.
world class player. But I just feel that Chun Li is not for her anymore. Right? And in the current meta, I
Yes.
feel like
Yes.
it should just change to another character. But
Um.
not saying Chun Li sucks. Chun Li's still a very, very good character.
Well,
FY.
and we also got to see some of that play out at ELeague with Daigo and Ryu Guile, right? Like, actually, one of the interesting things, Born Free and I recently talked, which I'm not sure that's up yet, but we talked about the idea that ELeague is, even in their promotion, you see it, but ELeague's going to go on with Street Fighter V, and there's not going to be one Ryu player at
Hmm.
all in this event. And you and I know why, because I think Ryu sucks, okay? And you talked about the idea that the character was nerfed in a way that the player has to completely change their play style. And I feel like that's what happened with Ryu in the current version of season 2, right? What does it tell you, or what do you think about when a guy like Daigo says, "Hey, I'm going to stick it out with Ryu," because he's like, that's how we envision him, right? Like, we know, yes, he played Guile before,
Hmm.
those of us
Of
that
course.
remember know that.
Hmm.
But we think of him, we're like, man, this is Daigo, this is Ryu, right? He doesn't even come into ELeague playing Ryu. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna play my kind of busted up Guile, my ST
Yeah.
version Guile, right?
Yeah.
Um, what does that say to you about, I guess, either him or where this game is at, and maybe where, and I'll get to this in a second, where the update needs to go?
Well, let me just say one thing. When I played Daigo at ELeague, to me, I just played a normal Guile. He did not seem very strong.
Right.
And to me, that was not Daigo who I played. That was just another person. And I practiced a lot just for his Ryu. And
Wow.
the fact that I actually, I mean, I still think it's Balrog favorite, but it's just one of those
Mhm.
things you have to practice for the person.
Yep.
Daigo is Daigo, and you should never be like, oh, I'm gonna beat him easy. Of course not. So in terms of balancing, yes, he might suck. I'm not really sure. I don't tend to see tier lists like that, but it's one of those things that the fact that Daigo had to change his character is just
Yeah.
not. You can tell that there's something wrong with the balance overall. It's the
It
same
just
thing. If I,
it
no,
just doesn't seem to fit in that high damage Street Fighter philosophy, right?
of course not. Of course not.
Yeah.
In terms of balances, I've been saying like if you took out Ryu's, throw loop, then why don't you take it off for everybody?
Yeah.
Like just make it the same as him. He can't really do shit after
Yeah.
after a throw. That's kind of like, come on, like why
Yeah.
don't you do that to everybody? He that literally killed his whole game plan too.
That's funny because it actually killed my play style too, because that's exactly what I did.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, his throw loops are great. Oh, I can't use those
yeah.
anymore. Well, Colleen, I guess.
Well, there's one thing that you see all the new characters, they rarely have something after a throw. Even
Right.
Balrog, yes, in the corner he has kind of like a throw loop. It's not real, but you still have to time it.
Hmm.
And I feel like that type of stuff you should nerf it a little bit and just yeah, he can do something, but it's risky.
Right.
That the way that Ryu is, he got nerfed that way. So
Yeah.
you're gonna do that, just do it for everybody.
We talked character specific, but I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts because you didn't obviously only play Balrog. Like last year, you played Nikali. I know you flirted with Ryu a little bit too. Um, are there any system wide changes that you would have liked to have seen either, I guess, removed or added?
I would like to see armor moves not being so good, as in like Sangeev's flex.
Hmm.
Uh, Other than that, I feel that they could do something better with the V trigger bar.
Okay.
I feel like the game is already kind of getting stale. It's like, okay, he has V trigger. Okay, here he comes. Blah blah blah. Maybe put another V trigger, like able to choose two V triggers or stuff like that. Make V reversals like unthrowable or something like that.
Right.
There's a lot of things that they can do, but the only problem with doing that, if you put a V reversal unthrowable, is that everybody's going to be like, "Dang, dang."
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna start doing that. But now that I say that, that means that you know you won't be using your V trigger. So it depends. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that they can do. If they add another defensive option, which there's none, um, I think it would be good for the game. It's very hard to say, man. This game is just weird to me. It's in a weird position. Very, very
Yeah.
weird.
I think that as a I mean, I don't know how to classify myself as a player, but I would say that traditionally I'm probably more defensive, right? Like, I mean, I played Boxer in 4, and I mean, back in vanilla or whatever, you just down back and wait for something to happen, right? Like
Yeah,
that's pretty much that's pretty much all you
yeah.
had to do. And I think bringing that mentality over to 4 or 5 makes it tougher, just overall, because this game is not about that.
It's a different game.
It is a
We
totally
can't
different
compare
game. I'm actually curious. Before I ask you, before we wrap it up here, I'm actually curious. I know you played a little bit of Colleen. Well, actually, let me just start with, what do you think about Colleen?
I think she's an awesome character. She's actually the
I do too.
closest character to Street Fighter 4 that there is.
Really? Okay.
Yes,
Why is that?
because she can actually cover most of every wake up. She has a counter like Goken. You know,
Okay.
you can just throw out.
Yeah.
It's not the same as Goken, of course, but you can still throw it out and, you know, hope for the best. Like I said, she doesn't care about wake ups in this game, which is very important. And she has very good jump ins. She has almost everything, just like a Street Fighter 4 character had. You know, a very good Street Fighter 4 character had everything. You know,
Right.
so yeah, I think she is an extremely good character. I think a lot of people that say that she sucks, they either haven't played a good one or just don't understand the character very well. So yeah, I think she's extremely good. Very, very good character.
So having said that, the reason I asked you about that is because, and I mean, I've been talking about it ever since she came out. Like, I connected with this character for whatever reason. I've never played a character like her. So it's interesting to me that you say she's more of a Street Fighter 4 character. I guess I've never really thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is very different from like most Street Fighter games. Like, I guess when Street Fighter 4 came out, we had like Sea Viper and things like that. And I mean, that was a very different character, I think, for a lot of Street Fighter games.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm going with that, though, is the idea is with these next 4 characters, they are all supposed to be all new. We don't know. I mean, there's rumors. We think we know who they might be, but we really don't know how they'll play. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious to, I guess, hear what you think about what you want to see from 4 all new characters. Do you want to see all new sort of like unique gameplay? Like, to me, Colin's very unique for Street Fighter 5. Do you think? Do you want to see something like that with these 4 characters? And I don't know. Do you think that would continue to make or keep Street Fighter 5 fun, or make it fun for some people?
I believe so. I mean, every single time that you put a unique character, everybody's gonna jump on it and say and just give their opinion. When it comes to will it keep it alive, that just depends on players doing good with those characters, right? Let's say if I randomly play Colleen or somebody else plays Colleen and plays his top 8, oh my God, Colleen is so good, you know, and people
Yeah.
will start like, oh, okay, jumping on the Colleen train, or like more players that like her just start playing. So I think like that just depends on how basically good players will play those characters. But
I'll
like I
admit,
said, yeah.
I'll admit, I was excited to see LPN pick Colleen, but then when he got peed on, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, you know, it's really funny because Knuckle Dude actually did not play a Colleen ever in his life until I actually asked him at that the day before my group. It was like, yo, you want to play my Colleen? That was the first time that he played a Colleen ever.
Wow.
So I guess he got lucky that we played. I'm so sorry, Ovian. It wasn't planned.
Wow.
But yeah, it's. I thought it was really, really freaking fun to watch him play because we were able to see a character that nobody has ever picked yet in a tournament, and hopefully I can pick her soon. So yeah.
Who's the first Colleen that makes a top 8?
I believe the first Colleen is either a Taiwan player or Jibo, Automata.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think one of those two. Because apparently Gamer Reed told me that there's a very, very, very strong Colleen player in Taiwan. So
Wow.
even
Okay.
CN told me. He's like, yeah, I play with a Taiwan Colleen. I'm like, huh, really? You know.
All right. We're gonna have to do some investigation later. I'm gonna have to look up some matches later. I played a tournament this weekend and I went a fast 0-2, and I was like, to be honest with you, for the first time I was pretty salty.
It's okay, man. It's okay. It's okay. It's just improvement.
Let's wrap it up. I just want to get to one more thought from you, and maybe this kind of refers back to ELeague a little bit, but or discussion surrounding ELeague. The idea that, you know, FGC versus esports and the WWE kind of wrestling production mentality that they had with obviously some of the stuff that went on. I talked about this with Born Free a little bit. This idea of, I don't know if you want to call it thuggery. We just use that term now because it's kind of a meme, right? It's like Left Behind. Now it's the meme, right? Thanks to Capcom on that one. But I think there is something to the idea that the FGC is unique, and we want to be able to display that. Can we be truly FGC and, I guess, truly esports at the same time? Or does one kind of have to sacrifice for the other?
I believe we can have both at the same time. Like I said before, I just feel it just depends on the players and how they say some things. You know, not
So you
calling
feel like it's
people
more on the players
idiots.
than anything?
Of course. Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Like, I wanted to see people, you know, instead of I was gonna say, instead of doing like the thumbs up, I will be like, yo, can you start the match or something like that? That would be really funny. You know, that would be really cool or something like that. If I
Do you know
hate
how
the
I
other
feel about the
person,
thumbs up?
you don't have to tell me.
Oh, I
I
hate
think
it so
everybody
much.
hates them. Exactly, but you know that type of stuff is just like, you just got to tell people, just, you know, be a little bit more professional. You know,
Yeah.
you can talk shit in a good way, and
So
I think a lot of
is
people
it
have
the
been doing
difference
that.
between like what happened at ELeague and is the difference between that and what happened at Final Round? Is Final Round, is that just the right amount of
I
FGC? You
still
know?
thought that final round was still a little bit disrespectful.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, it was really fun. I mean, I was front stage.
Yep. Oh no.
It was really
You were
funny.
one of the
But
four kings in the back.
yeah, yeah. It's. Do I have to say that I had fun? Definitely. Do
Yeah.
I think it was disrespectful? Definitely. I would never let anybody, you know, stay in my face for that long. You know, I don't know how I would act in that situation,
Right.
but I still feel that Wolfgang actually handled it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, just he did this good stuff,
Yeah.
and I feel that's the right way to actually just let it go that way instead of, you know, saying bad words in front of a
Yeah.
lot of people.
I get where you're coming from, and I agree. I think that there's definitely a responsibility for the player, but I do feel like this feud in particular, I don't want to dwell too much on it, but this feud in particular has gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, there's some pretty bad blood, right? And maybe the security guard was a little over the top, but you know, maybe they actually needed him. Who knows? Anything else we haven't talked about that you want to bring up? Oh, there was one
Um,
thing I wanted to mention. Speaking of the groups, by the way, at ELeague, how is it that Cygames, PR Balrog, Cygames Snake Eyes, and Cygames, is it Cy Beast? Cygames,
it's
Beast?
Cygames Beast.
Cygames
Cygames.
Beast. Let me get that. I got to get that correct.
Yeah.
PR Balrog, Snake Eyes, and Daigo are all in the same group.
So the problem with that is we signed our contracts while ELeague already had their group set up.
Okay. So no
So
conspiracy there.
exactly, it's not because they
Okay.
wanted us to be all in the same group. It was just
I'm saying they
because.
put 3 Europeans in the same group.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who's the best European? So there you go.
Well,
That
we'll
maybe
find
that's what
out.
they wanted to. Exactly. So when you see the groups, I think they just wanted to see, like, you know, the first group was like a scramble of the new era with like the
Right.
with like the, you know, like the
Yep.
technical people. Like Group B was Generations, Group C was Death Pool or Death Group, and the other one was like who's the best European or who's the best, like, you know, of the new of the I yeah, let's just put
Group D
Europeans.
was just kind of whatever.
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
Just kind of whatever.
Uh, no,
Well,
Knuckle Do and Phenom did very well, and it was
do you have
very.
the last thing actually I remembered I was going to ask you, and we'll finish up on this. I know you got to go. You're busy. You're a busy dude. You got to figure out how to use Skype. I know that. If you make ELeague finals Friday, I believe it's May 26th.
Mhm.
If you make those finals, I assume you're not going to go to Combo Breaker because you need to be in France for Red Bull Kumite that weekend.
That is correct.
So you're going to win ELeague and then fly to France and win Red Bull Kumite? Is that what you're telling me?
Stay tuned.
All right.
Stay tuned.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we'll miss you at Combo Breaker, but it's going to be crazy to me to see you guys on TV, on TBS with ELeague. So, of course, I wish you all the luck with that. You went, 6-1 in your groups. So I'm feeling pretty strong about a top 8 there. I think you'll do all right.
We'll see.
Your character's not bad. But I am really interested to see how you do at Red Bull Kumite because obviously it's a different year, very different a group of players this year. I really like the variety they have. So I hope that trip doesn't bother you too much. I hope you'll be ready for that because I want to see you put on your best performance there too.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm pretty right with jet lag, but it is what it is. You know, you gotta work. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Correct. PR Balrog, as always, great to talk to you. And I guess I won't see you at Combo Breaker, so maybe I'll see you at maybe CEO or Evo sometime.
Of course, I'll be at CEO.
All right, man. We'll catch up soon.
Peace.